We have a tradition in the college that whenever we have the graduation ceremony and for our students who receive their diploma, we also give them a medallion from the College of Humanities, so that it's my honor to give you this today since you are here and we are so happy to have you, and for me especially to give you this in person, to Sean Elliott. So that's to start with. That's the first thing. I have another little surprise for you. So congratulations for the medallion.
Thank you.
But even more important, what I do have here is Sean Elliott's diploma from the University of Arizona, which I'm so honored to give you today officially. Of course, the president of the university is the only one with ability to confer degree, but I have here the diploma. And one thing that I had forgotten about, which I realized when I opened it today, is the dean actually signed the diploma. There is my signature right there. Which means, like, I was thinking, I was asking Sean to sign all those things for me, and a lot of people did, but I just suddenly realized that Sean Elliott will have my signature on his degree on his diploma. So anyway, I just thought that was cool, but most importantly, thank you so much and congratulations. Here it is, the diploma for the Bachelor in Interdisciplinary Studies awarded to Sean Michael Elliott. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so thanks again for being here. And like we said, we have a few questions to share with and to discuss with you. But also, like we were saying earlier, our staff will be passing around some of those forms. So feel free to add some questions and we'll be collecting them. So the College of Humanities is really so thrilled to honor you as our Alumnus of the Year. And the last 2 days have been fantastic, and I cannot thank you so much again and your family for being here to receive and spending so much time with all of our friends and students, taking so many pictures and saying, and for your patience, we really appreciate it. So in the video, you spoke about why it was important to finish your degree and fulfill some promises you made. Can you tell us a bit more about why it was so important to you to reach that finish line?
Wow. Well, first off, this is a great surprise. So thank you. I wasn't expecting this at all. I would say that when I started off, my mother was really a big proponent of education, and she just hammered that home all the time. And so when I started here at Arizona, that was her main goal. My main goal was not to play in the NBA in her eyes. It was to get a degree. And so throughout the years, especially after I finished here, whenever my mom would visit or I'd come back to visit her here in Tucson, she was always on me to finish, always. And then I also wanted to finish for Coach O. Because I remember a few years after I retired, there were a couple articles that came out and they talked about coaches' graduation rates. And they had all these coaches, and Coach O was up there, but I felt like, why haven't I graduated yet? And I wanted that to reflect on Coach O's record, because, Coach O was not your typical coach, by any means. He really cared about his players, and he really had an emphasis on education and wanted us to graduate. When I got to the league, AP, I obviously played with a lot of guys from different programs, and there were a lot of guys that I talked to that talked about how some guys went to class, some guys didn't. It wasn't an emphasis really at other places, and I can tell you that it was completely opposite here. I don't know, Coach Thompson is here today. There he is in the back. I can tell you stories where Coach O would send grad assistants around, and they would sneak and they would peek into your classroom to make sure you're in class. And so there was one time in particular, one year, I just was lazy, didn't feel like going to class that day, and I skipped class. And we went through practice, went through film session, and we were in the weight room lifting weights, and Anthony Cook was spotting me. I was on the bench press, and I was looking up at Anthony. I was getting ready to finish that last set. When I put the bar down, Coach O magically appeared over me. And he snuck in the weight room and he looked down at me in a matter-of-fact way. And he said, next time you skip class, I'm gonna leave you at home for the next road trip. And so like the fear of God was put into me. And so I knew he was serious. And that's the kind of coach that he was. I mean, it was about accountability and going to class and not actually skipping steps. And so, throughout the years, that weighed on me. So I wanted to finish for my mom. I wanted to finish for Coach O. But ultimately, I wanted to finish for myself. My mom and I had so many conversations throughout the years. I remember one time we had this pretty heated debate. And she told me that there was a particular player in the NBA who was really famous at the time. And she said, he's not going to feel completely whole till he gets his degree. And I said, Mom, you're crazy. Not that guy. He's all world. He's everything. And she said, no, he's going to have that hole there and he's going to want to go back and finish. And I thought it was absurd. But the older you get, the more you realize that your parents are actually pretty smart. And so that, to me, really, was true in the end. And so I was missing that, and I had to come back and finish.
We're so glad you did. That was great to have you
Me
back.
too.
What was your experience like as a student athlete in the 1980s? And how did that compare to the experience of going back to school?
Oh, well, I was talking to the kids earlier, and I think I got a question along those same lines. I really consider the student athlete really is an athlete student. I mean, let's be honest here, because most of my time in college was on the basketball court, in film session, in the weight room, traveling on the road. And so I didn't appreciate the academics as much, because for me, basketball was really more my job. I used to tell people that I went to school and my education was in basketball. And so I wasn't able to pour myself into the classroom as much as I would have liked or would have hoped. And so for me, when I went back, I had a blast. And I told you guys that. I mean, it was the most amazing experience for me because I got to take great classes. I got to pour myself into my classwork as opposed to my basketball career. And so for me, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I looked forward to it. I had so many great, interesting classes that it didn't feel like it was work for me. It didn't feel like I was going to school. It just felt like I was, all right, here's a lecture by my oceanography professor, and I was looking forward to it. I couldn't wait for the next lecture, 2 days later. Same thing for my, history of German film, history of German cinema. That was just a ball for me. And so it was a completely different experience.
What are some of and you talk a little bit about this in the video already and to the students, but it's music to my ear, of course. What are some of the skills you developed or sharpened in humanities classes, and how useful are those in the real world?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like we've talked about it, and it's not only in sports, it's in business, it's in any profession out there. Employers, companies, they're looking for well-rounded people. They're looking for people that have good social skills, who know, a little bit or a lot about a lot. And that's what humanities brings to the table. If you're focused on one field, that's perfectly fine. I mean, I have no issues with that at all. But if you're well-rounded and if you know a little bit about everything, we have my brother-in-law, who's my wife's brother. He hires a lot of people in oil and gas. And he tells me all the time, I will take a student, an art student, if that art student is trainable and they're well-rounded and they're willing to learn, I'll take that over somebody who specialized in my field any day, because I can train them, they're adaptable, they're nimble, they're somebody who is really well-rounded. And I think that's what people are looking for, not just in the professional world, but in life. I think you're just a more interesting person.
Yes, I agree. I agree well. Thank you for that. Yes, well said. Well said. So you and your wife Claudia, I know, enjoy traveling. We have talked a little bit about that. How important is it to have a global mindset and embrace different cultures and languages, such as French?
It's absolutely, yeah. Well, I think it's absolutely critical. We're all experiencing it now. The world is shrinking. It's no longer just us over here. It's everybody in this together. And I feel like it's a huge advantage if you have a worldview, if you have a sense of what's going on out there in the world. A few of the students were Italian, French students. I think that's a huge advantage going forward if you're able to speak several languages and you understand other cultures. Because again, we're not isolated anymore. We're all in this together. It's one world, and so if you can speak French, Italian, Spanish, that is an absolutely a major advantage in any field. And just being out there in the world, it's a huge advantage.
I could not agree more again. Very good. Well said. And you and Claudia both are active as well in the community and volunteer in meaningful ways. How important is it for someone in your position to give back?
When you get this platform, AP, it's a big responsibility. I never imagined at all that I would be in this situation. Never in a million years. Growing up here in Tucson, I never thought that people would actually look at me and want to hear my opinion, or I would be able to influence a lot of people. And so when that platform is given to you, it is a big responsibility, and you got to do the best with it that you can. And you've got to take that opportunity to enhance people's lives if you have the ability to do so. And so my wife and I, we've done lots of charitable work in San Antonio. We're almost overextended at times, right? Yeah. And in here in Tucson, we did so many things for a lot of years because it's just important to give back. It's important to show, especially the young people, that you're actually a real person and that you care about their future. And if you do that and you're responsible in the way you do it, you can really make a big difference.
Thank you. Yes. So we have several students who are here and many more who will be watching this video. So what advice do you have for current students who are interested in a broad education or a range of subjects?
I would say, wow, I mean, there's a lot to say there. Life, guys, goes by really quickly, right? And you never know what path life is going to lead you on. You just have no idea. You can have the grandest plans in the world and life will steer you in a different direction. So at this point in your life, pour every ounce that you have into your studies right now. I think that's crucial. But approach every day in the manner that you're trying to get better every single day. I think that's probably the biggest thing. I'm kind of stuck here because I could maybe go off on a tangent, for several hours, but because I've had so many experiences in life, and I've told my friends that I've lived kind of a Forrest Gumpian existence. I don't know, the young people, they haven't seen the movie, so they probably won't get it. But I've traveled in so many circles. I've lived several lifetimes, I feel like, all because I did my work early. We used to have a saying way back in the day for the Spurs, on the defensive end, you do your work early. And that meant you got out, you defended early, you weren't behind the eight ball on the defensive end of the floor, but that also applied to life. You do your work early in life, and it's going to be a lot easier later on in life.
So you talked a lot about and already now and on the video about the value of the humanities, and we really appreciate you for that. One thing I just, before we take some questions from the audience, that I wanted to add is that I really like what you said at the end of the video, that I chose the humanities, but the humanities shows me.
Yeah.
Like, when would you say that?
I don't know, that just came to me. I think it just came to me. Because I think for me, I enjoy engaging with people. I kind of like that aspect of it, and I like what's been thrust upon me. I feel like I embrace people. I embrace meeting people. I embrace being able to be a role model or pass along advice to the younger generation. I feel like that I was kind of called to do that. And so humanities is about people. I'm about people. I'm a little bit of a bleeding heart, and an optimist, where I actually believe in the goodness of people, and I look for the good in people as opposed to, the negative. And so for me, I just enjoy my role in life. I enjoy my role in society, and I really relish the ability to enhance someone's day or enhance somebody's life if I can.
Well, thank you for that and for saying that. And I'm sure I can say that I can say that on behalf of all of us in the College of Humanities, that we are so proud that you are there spreading those values that are so dear to us and are so important more than ever today in the humanities. So congratulations again, and thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Ricky.
Okay, so we now have some a few questions from the audience that Dr. Mayer, who is the Associate Director of the Interdisciplinary Studies program, is going to ask and on behalf of the audience.
Thank you. So in your video, you mentioned the flexibility of the online program, and flexibility is also a hallmark of the Interdisciplinary Studies degree. How did that flexibility make a difference when you returned to finish your degree?
Well, I was really fortunate that I had gotten through all my upper level classes, and I had a few classes that were required that I absolutely had to take, but I had, fortunately for me, I had a lot of electives. And so I'm a very curious person by nature, and I love to learn. I love to learn something new every day. And so I would get on the phone with Dr. Muse. She was here earlier. She was my advisor, and she recommended a lot of classes, and a lot of things were right up my alley. And so for me, I just dove right into those classes, and I felt like a lot of those classes were things I was interested in. I took like 3 film classes, and it wasn't just about watching movies. I don't like action movies where guys are coming through windows and shooting up stuff. I like things that make you think, make you contemplate. And I watched the movie Samsara. I don't know if any of you have watched it. It was one of the religion and film, and there wasn't a word spoken in it, but it was really profound because it really highlighted the differences between wealth and poverty and the human condition around the world. And I thought that was really interesting. It really made me think about the society we live in and the human condition and those kind of things. They help me shape my view of the world. They help me, I think, become a more well-rounded person, have a lot more empathy for people, make me more aware. But it's also a great conversation starter. And I can help educate other people about what's going on. And so those kind of things really, really helped me.
Thank you. And then from the audience, what was the biggest challenge once you decided to finish your degree?
Well, I'm not really tech savvy at all, at all. I'm not good at emails. I'm not good at, writing papers. So my daughter, who's here, who went to Cal Berkeley, she's a Cal graduate. She helped me kind of get my pages set up. She helped me with the shortcuts to classes. And so I was really, really intimidated, I gotta tell you, because I hadn't written a paper or been in a lecture for however many years. And so I didn't know if I had what it takes to finish. I thought, wow, this is gonna be really, really overwhelming for me. But I had a great support system. I had my editor, my wife, who is a great writer, wrote for the San Antonio Express News for 11 years. She was my editor, and she, plenty of nights, I talked about it yesterday, where she would say, what? This isn't a paragraph. This isn't a sentence, this is a run-on. Where's the comma? What are you trying to say here? What exactly are you trying to say? And so I was like, okay, and I had to go back and, rework and finish things, and she was great. Well, we argued a few times about my papers. I was like, this sounds great. She's like, this is terrible. So the good thing for me is I had been coached before, and Coach Olson would get on me, Pop gets on me, and so when she was getting on me, it was all good. But that was the biggest challenge for me, was really believing in myself, but at the same time, I wasn't afraid to ask for help.
And what stands out to you about the transition from college to the NBA?
Lots of things. The lifestyle is the biggest thing. And you see it a lot nowadays, and a lot of the old guys and I, we talk about it all the time, where, imagine that you're 21 years old and you really haven't had very much in your life. I mean, my mom used to come by the dorm at Babcock and give me $20, and I would make that $20 last for a month. And now you're getting real money and real checks, and people are putting money in your pocket, and how do you handle that? And then how do you handle not having Coach O or Coach Thompson making sure that you're getting in bed at night and you're taking care of your body? You're really pretty much on your own. And that's a daunting task. A lot of players fall into a pit because you've got all this money, you've got this lifestyle now, and you don't have anybody looking over you to keep you in check. And it's insidious. I mean, you have a lot of people that are lining up to take advantage of you, and you don't realize it. And so that was probably the biggest thing. I mean, the basketball was secondary. The basketball obviously was harder. You're playing a stronger, a more physical game. It's faster. You're playing a lot more games, 82 games as opposed to maybe 30 or 35 in college. You're traveling all the time, but it's the lifestyle away from the court that is a huge trap for a lot of professional athletes. And you've got to really be mindful of the people around you. I had a businessman tell me, Sean, beware of the sharks and piranhas. And I've never forgotten that, because they're out there. People are out there just to feed on you. And that's not really talked about a lot out there, but that was the biggest adjustment for me. Just making sure that I try to surround myself with good people and not let the sharks and piranhas get too close.
As a professional athlete, how do you maintain your motivation throughout the whole season, or maybe semester for professional students?
Well, that wasn't hard for me because I always felt like I wanted to be an alpha. Always felt like I wanted to be the top dog, and there's nothing wrong with that mentality at all. And I always felt like there was somebody out there that was outworking me, and so that motivated me more than anything. If I spent an hour in the gym, especially in high school, growing up in Tucson, there was a small town mentality here. There was a mentality that you couldn't do it because you were from Tucson. We were the little brother to Phoenix. I joke all the time. People ask me, "Oh, what was it like being recruited?" And I say, Scouts didn't come to Tucson. Scouts came to Tucson to gas up on their way to Los Angeles. No one was coming to watch me play. And so I felt that there were all these scores and crops of players out there that were way better than me. And so I had to work to get on that same level. And so my mindset was to take on the challenge every single day and and be better and not let anybody outwork me.
How did your degree improve your broadcasting career?
Yeah, I think it gave me a different perspective, a different scope, and like I said on the video, it kind of helped my vocabulary. I was reading a lot, especially the sociology classes. Whew. I mean, my first class, I think, was sociology of sports. And I thought it was going to be this class where I was going to be reading these great articles. And if you've taken sociology classes, I mean, I feel like so many people that are writing articles are trying to prove how smart they are. And so half the time I was going through all these articles and I had to highlight a word and look up a definition, highlight the word and look up the definition. Like, what? Just say it in plain English, you know? And so for me, I learned a lot that way. I mean, I had to really kind of restart my vocabulary for sure.
And then the throwback question, do you remember playing in Lame for a Game on behalf of
Yes.
Adaptive Athletics?
Yeah, every year we'd play against the wheelchair team. And they would, they were obviously smoking us on the wheelchairs, but we got to get out of the chair once a game or twice a game to dunk, and that was our way of showing off. But no, we couldn't beat them if we tried.
And I want to thank you for being a great Wildcat.
Thank you.
A broader question, will athletic conferences survive?
That's a great question. Maybe not for me, but I can go on a rant. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm old school. I love the Pac-12. It was the Pac-10, yeah. And it comes down to, what does it come down to? It comes down to the almighty dollar. And the dollar actually trumps everything, unfortunately. How do you have kids that are on the West Coast, USC, UCLA, Cal, flying all the way to the East Coast to play Penn State and North Carolina? It makes no sense at all to me. And so a lot of the traditions are gone. A lot of the rivalries are gone. And I'm just not a fan of that. So, I mean, I would love to see the conferences come back in order. That makes a lot more sense, but I just don't see it on the horizon, unfortunately.
Who is someone you felt starstruck meeting?
Several people, I would say. Barack Obama. Yeah, that was part of my Forrest Gumpian kind of life. You know, I bragged to my friends that I've met all the past 5 former presidents at one time or another. They weren't all presidents at the time, but I got a chance to sit down and spend some time with actually Bill Clinton, who was a great statesman. I mean, he was a very intense person, both he and Hillary. Of course, Barack Obama, my wife, I have a great story there that she doesn't want me to repeat. It's kind of funny. Got to meet both Bushes and just, I don't know if I was starstruck with them, but just a lot of entertainers as well. Like I said, because of basketball and the circle that I've been in, I mean, I've done things with, almost you name it. And so it's like this little kid from Tucson who's gotten to meet all kinds of entertainers, actors, had dinners with people that I just never imagined that I would sit down with. But I would say maybe the biggest was Michael Jordan. Yeah. Worked his camp when I was a sophomore and a junior here at Arizona. I worked his basketball camps, and maybe I was starstruck at first, but once we started our pickup games in the evening and I would guard him, he'd guard me, then it was over. It wasn't about being starstruck anymore. It was about measuring, myself against the best. And so I don't really get starstruck anymore because it's funny for me, people see me and they get starstruck, and I said, there's no reason for that at all. I'm just a person, and I look at everybody else that way now.
Speaking of some of the experiences you've had, you've undergone some health experiences that aren't necessarily average, from your kidney to the heart procedure. Could you talk a little bit more or share what you learned from those experiences?
I would say, as going as far back as when I hurt my knee here when I was a freshman in high school, and the adversity that I had to overcome. When I first tore my ACL, and you see all those college highlights, I was wearing a big knee brace, and I wore that for a lot of years. The doctor told me I would never play basketball again, and I was 13 years old, and that didn't register to me. And so I've always looked at any kind of health situation I've had as a challenge. So it was a challenge for me to overcome my knee injury. When the doctor told me that I needed a kidney transplant, I thought to myself, okay, I'm gonna get through this, because I've already faced adversity throughout my life, and I wasn't gonna not 1 second feel sorry for myself, because there are a lot of people out there in life that are going through way worse than I am. So I was going to prove to myself again that I could get through this and overcome it. And I had set a goal to play again. And the doctors, they thought I was crazy, like they have throughout my entire career. But I didn't think I was crazy, because I took it on the challenge, and I was going to do whatever it took to get back on the court. And that's how I kind of approach everything. Any kind of situation I've ever been in where I've had to face adversity, I take that on as a challenge. You just bring it on, and I'll prove to you that I can get through it.
You spoke about the benefit of being trainable or coachable. How do you think studying the humanities actually makes someone more trainable for the workforce?
I just think it makes you more flexible. You got to be nimble and flexible. You can't be rigid and caught just in a hole or in a rut. Not in today's world. You have to be dynamic. I know people use that word a lot, but you have to be able to adjust. You have to be flexible, and that's the biggest thing. I think that's everything, not just in your profession, but in life. You have to be able to adjust and to adapt. And I think that's what humanities brings. I've talked about it. I love being somebody who knows a little bit about Slavic studies, or oceanography, or mise en scène, or lighting and film. That to me is like, I love that, because I feel like it makes me a more well-rounded person.
All right.
Maybe one last question.
Yeah, last question. So you've obviously had many highlights in your career. What are some of your favorite moments on the basketball court?
When we beat North Carolina to go to the Final Four in 1988, and it goes to what I tell a lot of teams when I talk to teams, that game, and then we won the championship in '99. There's nothing like doing it as a team. There's no comparison. I won a lot of different individual awards, and all those to me pale in comparison to doing it as a team. There's something about getting 10 or 15 people, a team together. Everybody has a common goal, and you fulfill that goal together. I've never seen a guy win Defensive Player of the Year or win an MVP and pour champagne on their head. I've never seen that. But I have seen a locker room full of people spraying champagne in each other's eyes because they did it as a team. It's a completely different feeling. It's great to win and accomplish things individually, but when you do it together, I don't know what it is, but it's something magical.
Thank you.
I love it. And yes. I love that idea of celebrating a big win as a team with some French champagne. Yes, we're all in favor of that.
That's right.
Please, let's have another big round of applause for them. Thanks so much. Thank you so much again for sharing your insight with us. I mean, we are so proud once again for everything that you do out there, representing the College of Humanities so well, and the values that, everything that you have said today. I know my colleagues who are here and everybody can relate to that. We have a little bit more time, if you want to hang out in the breezeway and have some more refreshments, take some of our brochures, and great to see you all. Thank you so much for being
here.
here.
I will say one last thing.
Please.
There was a young man that came to me yesterday after the luncheon, and he said he's been out of school for 16 years and he wanted to come back. And so, it doesn't matter what you do in life, it's never too late. It's never too late. It took me 37 years to finish my degree. Here I am 40 years later. Never imagined that would happen. So if you're out there and you want to restart, or you want to come back and get your degree, it's never too late to accomplish what you want.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks again, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.